Ace of clubs. Tremendous flop for Coleman. Fricky looking for a 10 that's not a club.
Ooh, that's three more.
Jack of spades on the turn.
That's like a gin card for you.
That gives Fricky a few more outs. Now a 9 will complete a straight for him, so long as it's not a club.
Still needs a lot of help. There's a club. That gives the flush to Coleman, and Coleman will double up through Fricky to the joy of his family, his wife Ann, his son Jake on hand, and Dad will live to play another day. On the other hand, Jimmy Fricky will lose the chip lead. We'll see how he responds. Our final table of the Aussie Millions. We're coming back right after this. We welcome you back. This is the FullTiltPoker.net Aussie Millions here in Melbourne, Australia. Let's take a look at our chip count. Gus Hansen has assumed the chip lead over Jimmy Fricky. A little distance between him and Andrew Black. Karam and Vogel on the short stacks.
Well, Michael, 7 players at our final table, but 2 right now are dominant. Gus Hansen and Jimmy Fricky. 2 very different players, 2 very different mindsets. What about Gus Hansen?
Well, he's been here before, not specifically the final table of the Aussie Millions, but big money, major tournaments. He knows how to win. It has been a long dry spell, however. This is Gus Hansen's chance to get back on top of the poker world.
And then how about the kid, Jimmy Fricky?
Fricky tells us money doesn't matter to him. It's the title he's after. We're going to see if the television lights and the world-class competition makes him change his game.
One of these 7 players will walk away with a check for 1.5 million Australian dollars, just about 1.2 million American dollars. Karam folds over to Coleman.
Raise.
Julius Coleman, pocket 9s.
First raise to 100,000.
Coleman will make it 100,000. Andrew Black will fold. Christy Gazes folds. Vogel will fold. Now Gus Hansen. 10-7.
Hansen loves to play these suited connector type hands. First of all, he has a ton of chips, so calling here is not a problem, but also it's the kind of hand where if he spikes well on the flop, he knows he can crack that man, Julius Coleman.
He does call. So 2 players to the flop, 3, 4, 6 on the flop.
It's a great flop for Coleman. No picture cards, no overcards to his 9, but Hansen has an inside straight draw and 2 overcards, and he's reaching for chips. He's going to put pressure on Coleman.
130,000 is the bet from Gus Hansen. And now Coleman.
I'm all in.
All in. So Coleman boldly pushes in.
You will win.
And that's going to be good enough. As Hansen folds and Coleman comes up with another big win for him. And again, his family, needless to say, absolutely thrilled with what's going on. Well, Julius is Australia's last hope. He's the senior citizen at the table, trying to bring the title back down under.
I'm Julius Coleman. I'm from Melbourne. 55 years since I came out from Poland as a kid. Does that make me the oldest in the tournament? I think it is. I was a lawyer and became a funds manager. It started off in 1975. I've been a lawyer for about 6 or 7 years. A lot of my clients got hurt in car accidents. They'd get money, they'd lose the money. So I didn't want them to lose the money. I told them they should buy a flat. In 1975, I bought a flat and put the names of 3 of these kids on the title. The flat cost $4,000. The rent was $8 a week. 20-something years later, we owned 55 shopping centres, and instead of collecting $8 a week rent, we were collecting $3 million a week rent, and instead of giving it to 3 investors, we're distributing it to 10,000 investors. I was absolutely certain I'd be intimidated, and I haven't been. I was absolutely certain I'd be completely nervous and disoriented under lights and at the table, and when they put you in front of everybody, and I wasn't. I've come up with a plan for a couple of the people I've been playing with. I've gone through with those plans a couple of times. They've worked. That's made it fun. So I'm loving it, just having such a ball.
Barry, a lot of poker players talk about how they're not playing for the money, they're playing for the title. Julius Coleman is a great example. Not only is he playing for the title, but if he does win, all the winnings will go to a charity for underprivileged children.
Yeah, it's a great story. Action folds to Christy Gazes with an ace-queen suited. She raises to 100,000. Now Gus Hansen, pair of nines.
He could smooth call here, but that doesn't seem like Gus Hansen to me. I expect him to raise.
I got about $1 million, a little over $1 million.
And in fact, Gus wants to know how much Christy Gazes has left.
Counting out a raise here.
Second right.
And he will raise to 380,000. Coleman will fold now to Christy Gazes.
I'm all in.
And she's going to go all in. So that $1 million is now out there.
625.
Gus Hansen looking, taking a long look.
And I thought Christy Gazes' move did not look very confident. I expect him to call.
Well, I guess it's not time for great laydowns. I should have at least 18%.
Gus makes the call.
You got anything?
Hansen is actually the odds-on favorite.
Yeah, I have 2 nines.
So Christy Gazes now with her tournament life absolutely at stake here, staring down one of the best players in the world.
I really hate to put more money like that, but I should have waited. Could have waited, but I don't feel like it.
That's not a confident line.
Getting the 9-4s.
I think you have to play that hand.
I think so. It's very. I've gone broke so many times in big tournaments with that stinking hand, though. Late. It's not a hand I really like that much, but we shall see.
Looking for 3 hearts, an ace, or a queen. She gets 1 heart,
About
but
right.
that's not so good.
Hansen has increased his lead here. Christy Gazes has less than a 30% chance of surviving, and it's worse now with 1 card to come. Christy Gazes needs an ace or a queen, otherwise she will finish in 7th place.
Down to the final card, perhaps, for Christy Gazes. It
Look,
is
everyone.
a 4 of spades, and Christy Gazes will be eliminated by Gus Hansen. You can see he has increased his chip stack to over 6 million. Christy Gazes, 7th place, 220,000 Australian. Still, pretty good payday, but Gus Hansen putting distance between himself and the rest of the field. .net Aussie Millions here in Melbourne, Australia. Gus Hansen solidifies his chip lead as to Christy Gazes, 7th place with no regrets.
I may have mucked it, but I can't keep laying down. I gotta gamble. I only had $1 million, so against Gussie, I was hoping for a flip. I feel okay. What are you gonna do? It's first 10K final table I've made, so I feel really good about the way I played in general.
Gus Hansen over 6 million in chips now. 6 players remaining.
And the 2 people happiest about Christy Gazes' exit, that man, Mark Karam, and Hans Martin Vogel, the 2 short stacks. They just moved up the pay ladder. But Gus goes right back to work, raising with a 3 deuce suited.